What's going on, guys? Back today with the third A-Tacs pattern. This is the A-Tacs AU. In case you guys aren't familiar, A-Tacs has got three patterns, really four patterns that they do. You've got the AU, which is this, the FG, the IX, and then their snow pattern, and I guess there's also another one I just can't count today. The other one is their law enforcement pattern. I haven't done anything with the snow pattern and the law enforcement pattern because most of my terrain isn't exactly compatible with those patterns. It wouldn't really do them much justice for me to try to show them to you. However, I have done the IX pattern. You know I'm a big fan of that. And I've done the FG pattern. You know I'm a big fan of that. Well, this is the AU. Now, just to kind of familiarize you, for those of you that might not be familiar, the FG pattern is their woodland patterns. Like I think the FG stands for foliage green, if I'm correct. Not 100% sure on that, because honestly, in all the years I've been using it, I've honestly never looked to see. I think I remember reading that it was for foliage green, and I'm not sure. I do know for a fact, however, that the IX pattern is their intermediate extreme pattern. It's meant to be an intermediate pattern between the FG and the AU, and eventually, within the next couple of years, they will be phasing in the FGX and the AUX, okay? So that'll be the two new extreme patterns that they do, with the IX being right in the middle of them. The AU pattern that I have on now is their arid urban pattern, and I am sure on that. The AU was actually the very first pattern that A-Tacs came out with. Again, obviously from the name, you can surmise that it's primarily intended for arid environments, urban environments, that sort of thing. And that's correct. From everything I've seen, it does work quite well in all of those areas. But you know me, I like to try things in their area as well as outside of their area. So, just like I've done with other arid specific patterns before, we're gonna shoot this one out here and kind of see what it does. Now, if you've watched my other videos, you know that I'm not real big on the whole pattern delineation thing where certain colors are assigned to certain environments. And people think that the only thing that works in a quote-unquote green environment is green colors and green patterns. And the only thing that works in a tan or brown environment is tans or brown colors. And I don't buy into that, because this pattern, for example, there's various shades of browns and tans and all that in there. But just because you don't necessarily see all the browns and tans here, yes, there's a lot of green, but just because you're not seeing those browns and tans doesn't mean they're not there. You might not be seeing them because they might just be that hard for your eye to pick up on, and your eye's picking up on easier to see colors, okay? So that's not always the case, but sometimes it can be. Now, this is also especially true with a brand new piece of clothing that hasn't been worn in, broke in, sweated in, dirtied and stained up a little bit, etc. Clothes will typically start taking on the environment around them as you use them. So, sorry to ramble on about that, but I just wanted to throw it out there as evidence for some people to think that, you know, you have to have a certain thing for a certain environment. You might be surprised what will work in some areas and what won't. Excuse me. So let's see how the AU does out here. Maybe this would be an option for you guys, depending on how it works. If you find yourself in one of those areas where you might have open, bright areas, you might have an urban area, and you might even have some woodlands around you. Maybe this will be one that'll work in all of those for you. Maybe there's another one that'll work better. I don't know. I'm just trying them out, putting them on video and throwing them out there for you to see. You make the determination as to which one you think would work best in your area, hopefully based off your own testing and experimentation. I always encourage you to do that for yourself, and don't believe what anybody tells you. Believe what you go find out for yourself. The only caveat to that is when you go do it yourself, try to be as open-minded and unbiased as you can. I mean, we're all human and we all tend to have preconceived notions, and we might have what we, in our minds, this is what I want to work, maybe even on a subconscious level. So, because this is what I want to work, my brain's gonna automatically see it as working, even if something else may work a little better, but it's not necessarily what I want to work. If that makes sense. Okay, I've rambled enough forever. True Spec Contractor's Cap, True Spec TRU top, TRU pants, and their mil spec boonie. Again, you know I love True Spec stuff. They've just got the best offerings right now as far as pattern selection, material selection, and honestly, guys, this stuff just works, okay? It's not high-end, what some people would consider tier 1 clothing, but it works for me and I like it and recommend it. So, final piece, this is my UW gear chest rig I make in A-Tacs AU. Yes, I do all my gear in the A-Tacs patterns. Video is not about me and my gear. So, enough of that plugging. Let's get out here and start doing some hide and seek and see how this stuff does. Hang on. Let me tell you what, fellas. It's hot in here. Oh man, alright. Sorry. Just this humidity just sucks it out of you when you're in here for a few hours. So, A-Tacs AU pattern. Not exactly in an arid area, as is evidenced by the humidity, and not exactly in an urban area. So, you guys be the judge, make your own call, own decision. Does it work okay? Does it work good? Does it work great? You be the judge. Like I said in the beginning, always get out and try things for yourself in your areas that you expect to be in, okay? You can't necessarily go by what other people tell you in other areas or that have done different jobs and different experiences. It might not be necessarily transferable and applicable to you. So, trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to cover here. Not off the top of my head. Like I said, this is the A-Tacs AU pattern. Yeah, that pretty much covers it. You know, I've done all three now of the A-Tacs. You know, of course, depending on when they get the FGX and the AUX out, you know, I'll definitely have that on my list to take a look at. I really like the A-Tacs patterns, guys. What can I say? They're not quite as fancy or mainstream maybe as some others, but personally I think the bottom line is they work, and I think they work really well in their respective areas, but also maybe outside their respective areas as well. I'm a big fan. I have been for many years. You know, sometimes you got to break away from the herd mentality and all that when you're really serious about your survival and preparedness, and get what works, even though it might not be as flashy and exciting as what you know, all the cool kids or friends or whatever are using or doing. Get what's going to work best for you. So, as always, take care, stay safe, keep preparing, and if these yellow flies don't tote me off, I'll see you in the next one.